Hey everybody out there in the Frontline universe, I'm Chris and welcome back to another comic book review, and in this review I'll be reviewing Superman issue number 2. Again, another one of my favorite covers that came out this week. I really dig the Superman covers, I'm really loving them. But anyway, as I'm showing you guys some artwork that is from this book, I have to give you guys the warning just like it says on the title. Spoiler alert, as I will be talking about the events and things that have happened in Superman issue number 2. If you haven't read it yet, you don't want spoilers. I'm actually purposely posting all of my issue number 2 reviews a day later on purpose, so it gives you guys the chance to go check out the issue number 2s. It's not like the issue number 1s where we want to get them out the day they were released. So I wanted to give you guys the extra time to check out the issue number 2s. If you haven't yet, you can take this video, pause it, put it in your watch later list, go check out issue number 2, and then come back and let me know what you guys thought of the book. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, what have you. Although, I do give a non-spoiler overview of the book before we get into the spoilers of the book. One thing, and I guess we could say that this is the overview now, one thing I really liked about this book is I love the development between John and Clark in this book. And as you guys saw at the end of the last issue, Clark basically says, quietly, come with me. So obviously we're seeing a John and Clark, super father, super son moment, which was really cool. We get to see the return of a character that has an old DC Universe look. It's hard not to spoil it, but out of all the last pages in the issue number 2s this week, this one had the OMFG moment of this week, in my opinion. Just the sheer fact of who's back and how they look, especially. That is why the last page of this book definitely tops any of the other books. And if you're a Superman fan, you're going to be OMFGing as well. I've never said those initials before now. That's how crazy this is. But anyway, I loved the father-son moment. There was a really great scene with John and Kathy as well. Something happens, by the way, to John. And we get to see overprotective Clark. And it's really cool seeing Clark pulling the Jonathan Kent when Clark was a teenager kind of thing. And it's really interesting, especially because Lois actually mentioned in this book that, Clark went through what John is going through. So now, because Clark went through it, his son will have more of an insight because Clark already has the experience of growing up with superpowers. I loved this book. This was a 4.5 to 5. You know what? It's got to be a perfect 5 out of 5. If you're a Superman fan, you'll understand why. If you're not a Superman fan, if you're not a fan that's been around for a while, if you're just getting into Superman, you might think this is closer to a 4.5 to 4. But for people who are fans of Superman, who know the character that showed up at the end and the look the character had at the end, you will definitely agree that this was definitely a 5-star book. Or maybe you'll agree it's a 5-star book even if you're not so in-depth with Superman's past. Because of the personality, the artwork. Oh, the artwork was so good in this book, as you guys saw. And the story itself was just really, really good. And that's the overview. That's as unspoiler as I can get for this book. So anything from this point on, and I will say one thing that's not spoiler, I like how Clark is showing John how to finally control his powers a bit. And that's it. Now we're going into spoilers. So here we go. If you haven't read the book, pause it, come back later. If not, if you want spoilers, you've been warned. I love how this book opened up with Clark and John in the North Pole. They're dealing with a submarine that came up. It was damaged for some reason. So Clark goes down. He fixes the submarine. He tells John to stay a safe distance away. Out of nowhere, this gigantic squid, gigantic squid shows up and starts to wreak havoc. Superman starts fighting the squid, and then he has his son jump in to help, and he tells his son, use your heat vision and aim for the crystal. And John's like, I don't want to do that. If I do that, I can't control it. He's like, you're my son, you can do it. And that's when the clothes fell off, and you get to see John in his Superboy outfit if it's Superboy, and I'll explain why in a moment, in his super outfit for the first time. and he unfortunately still can't control his heat vision. He burns Clark's back a bit, and Clark's like, focus, just relax and focus your beam smaller. And of course, the second time he tries it, it fails again. He's like, you missed, smaller. And then finally John is able to control his heat vision and shrinks it. He's able to free the squid from some type of mind control. We don't know why, and I doubt we're ever going to find out why somebody was mind controlling a squid in the Arctic to try to get that submarine that had nuclear or gamma or whatever the submarine had. That was a subplot, I feel, if anything. So John did get hurt. He got scraped in the North Pole when the squid came up and he was in the middle of the ice. So he actually admits to Clark, Dad, I accidentally used my superpowers when I wasn't supposed to, and I accidentally killed the cat, which happened in the previous issue. And he was afraid he was going to get scolded. And I love how Clark's like, you do know there's a smell in the air, and I smelled it when you used your heat vision. So I knew it, and I'm glad you were honest. And he's like, you think Mom's going to be mad? He's like, your mom will be proud that you're telling the truth. And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, well, let's go find out. And I love how they go home, and then we get to see this little ball, and it takes the blood that dripped off of Jonathan Kent's knee, assimilates it, and says, Homo sapien, Kryptonian. And it flies off. And we don't know what it is yet. And then we go back to the farm where they have a wonderful moment, the family, Lois, Clark, and John. And then John kind of like runs off, and you see him sitting on a branch on a tree. And then Kathy shows up, and John's like, why didn't you tell when you saw what I did? And she's like, I could tell it's a secret, and I didn't want to. It's your secret, and I didn't want to get you in trouble, and I didn't want to admit that I saw anything, which was really cool. And you see that there's something with Kathy and John. I think Kathy has something or a thing for John, possibly. I don't know. But we get to see a little bit of it in this issue. And John, I guess, develops super strength and accidentally crushes the branch that they're sitting on, and they collapse. And that's where, during this, there's a back and forth where Clark and Lois are talking about, John developing powers, and how Clark knows what John's going through, so it'll be easier for Clark to kind of help John through these hard times. And actually, I love how Clark said to Jonathan at some point that he mentioned, he saw the suit, and this is before they came back from the North Pole, and he says, so Superboy? And he's like, no, there's a lot of people walking around with Wonder Woman's W. I'm just walking around with your S. And he's like, one day you're gonna have to don the S, because it's not, it's part of what we do, when we are the ones that step in, and, the symbol represents hope. So we step in when there's nobody else that can, and one day you're gonna have to don the suit, and like me, you're going to have to, own the S. You're gonna have to don the S and become like me. And I like that moment because it was a really nice father-son moment where Clark's like, the world needs us, and that's why we're there, and that's why one day they're going to need you, and you're going to be next. So he's not a father that's looking to hold his son back. He actually wants his son to embrace the S and what it means to be a super whatever he chooses to be. And I like that. And then, anyway, we're going back to the present now. He fell off the tree, he gets a concussion, knocks himself out. Kathy and the grandfather come running in, and they tell Clark and Lois, and the grandfather wants to take John to the hospital, and Clark gets overprotective dad on him and goes, I'll take care of it, thank you. And the grandfather kind of gets a little intimidated and walks away. I want to know one thing. John is wearing the Superboy suit that one day he's going to go public with because of Super Sons. And Clark's not wearing the glasses, so he kind of looks like Superman. How is it that the grandfather didn't make the connection, nor did Kathy? I mean, you'd think that Clark would at least go back to the glasses at this point, but he hasn't. But that's beside the point. I guess that's a little plot hole that everybody's forgetting about right now. Or maybe because they're not in Metropolis, they haven't made the 2 and 2 connection yet. I don't know. But anyway, besides that, I love how Clark's like, I don't understand why this is happening, and the only way to find out is to go to the Fortress of Solitude. And we go to the Fortress of Solitude at that very moment, and that sphere goes into the fortress because the sphere is Kryptonian. What? It goes into the fortress, it assimilates more DNA from Superman this time, from Clark, New 52 Superman, and it becomes the Eradicator. And not just the Eradicator from right before the New 52s happened. We're talking the Eradicator, the Visor Superman from the return of the reign of the Superman. We're talking classic Eradicator costume, splash page, finale to the book. When I saw that, holy crap, I went ballistically. It was amazing because we didn't get to see the Eradicator as Eradicator Superman too long, because when Superman came back, the Eradicator became somebody else. So it's so cool to once again be able to see the Eradicator in his classic Superman. It was, anyone who knows the Eradicator from the reign of the Superman, this was awesome because we're getting the Superman Doomsday fight over in Action Comics, but in Superman, we're getting Reign of the Superman Eradicator. That's freaking sweet. That's awesome. And I'm digging it. I'm really, really liking. I love this ending, and it's going to be interesting to see. I'm enjoying the family feel to Superman, and now I'm really loving that. We knew the Eradicator was coming, but we didn't know at the scale that they showed, that they gave us on this last page. We didn't know they were going full on, well, you want Eradicator Superman? Here you go. And they literally gave us back Superman, or Eradicator, as the goggled Superman. That's sick. Or the Visor Superman. I'm sorry, not the goggle Superman. The goggle Visor Superman. You guys know what I mean. If you don't know the Visor Superman, and you don't have issue 2 of Superman 2 yet, and you cheated and wanted to hear spoilers, Google it. You'll see Visor Superman. It was awesome. I can't wait for the next issue. I'm at the edge of my seat, excited to see what's happening with John, and the first meeting between Eradicator and Superman. It's going to be freaking awesome. This is an excellent issue. 5 stars. I loved it. I love this issue. My God, DC Comics is finally doing Superman justice again. He feels like Superman. His personality is like Superman. This is my longest review out of the 4 issue number 2 reviews. I apologize for that, but this was such a really great book, and you could tell that I loved it because I'm still talking about it. It feels like Superman again. It acts like, it's a Superman book again, and that's what I love about it. And I highly recommend you guys check out Superman issue 2, issue 1, and the Rebirth one-shot and Action Comics. I know one of my friends, my good friend Larry, is actually picking up only Superman right now, and I recommended Action. Hopefully he will at some point. Maybe he will, but he's loving Superman, and I'm loving Superman as well. So definitely something to check out, and I'm going to cut myself short here and just say get that book. It's really good. Superman feels like Superman again. So if you miss that classic Superman, you're getting it again in the Rebirth series, Action and Superman. Till next time, everybody. And also check out Justice League, because he feels very Superman in Justice League as well. The Rebirth one-shot. If you want to check that out, go check it out. It was reviewed already over here on Comic Frontline, and you'll see what I mean. So, till next time, everybody, Comic Frontline. We are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. We are posting videos daily, so if you haven't subscribed, please do so we're in your sub box and you don't miss out on a single video. Go check out the .com. We've got articles, previews, reviews, stuff that we don't have on in video format, in written format. It's awesome. We try to give you guys as much content, video, written-wise, as we can. And that's why we are Comic Frontline, by the way. And if you'd like to see any of our individual stuff, all of our individual channels are listed on the main page, on the main channel page for Comic Frontline. You can pick and choose which one of us you want to see some individual work from. Go to our channel and have a blast. But until next time, everybody, take care. Keep reading, keep collecting, and I'll see you guys really soon in the next video.